Imagine if Kovu had died in The Lion King 2. Would the fate of the Pride Lands have changed completely, or would the events have unfolded just the same? In this video, we dive into one of the wildest and most thrilling what-if scenarios you can imagine. What if Kovu died? Kovu, the lion chosen by Scar to be his heir, raised with hatred and vengeance instilled in him by Zira, ultimately chose a different path, a path of peace and love. But let's take a step back and ask ourselves, would Kovu's death have really changed anything? Or, in other words, did Kovu's existence actually have a significant impact on the course of the story? The truth is, from the beginning, Kovu was deeply hesitant to follow Zira's orders, especially when she asked him to kill Simba. He saw in himself that he wasn't just a tool for revenge. On the contrary, his character began to evolve, leaning toward peace, especially after falling in love with Kiara. From that point, one could argue that even if Kovu had died, the core path of events might not have changed drastically, because Kovu was already resisting the ideology Zira had implanted in him. But now, we shift to a deeper and more powerful impact: the effect of Kovu's death on Zira herself. Zira saw Kovu as her one and only hope to restore Scar's legacy. She believed he would be the king to bring back the era of darkness. But if he died, especially while still undergoing his transformation, that would have driven her mad. She might literally have lost control and descended into a spiral of obsession and vengeance. In that case, we might have seen Zira herself attempt to kill Simba, not through Kovu, but with her own claws, driven by the rage of a mother who lost her son and the fury of followers whose symbol of hope was gone. And Simba? He would have dealt with Zira differently, especially if Kovu's death was directly or indirectly linked to him. He might have tried to avoid confrontation, or even appealed to Zira emotionally, acknowledging her grief. But at the same time, his role as king would have required him to act decisively if things spiraled out of control. We also have to consider the relationship between Kiara and Simba in the scenario of Kovu's death. Kiara, who loved Kovu deeply, if he suddenly vanished from her life, whether in battle or due to a tragic accident, it would have shattered her. Worse still, she might have suspected her father had a hand in it. That doubt alone could shake her faith in her family, her authority, and even herself. But more likely, and this is what I tend to believe, she wouldn't seek revenge against her father. Instead, she'd become deeply broken, paralyzed, unable to act, which could throw everything into chaos. What if Kovu died as a cub? In this alternate timeline, the events of The Lion King 2 take a drastic turn. After being chosen by Scar as his heir, Kovu dies while still a young cub in a tragic accident, falling off a cliff while fleeing from crocodiles. This unexpected incident shifts the balance of power in the Outlands and sets off a chain of events that never happened in the original film. Zira loses control. Zira, Kovu's mother, breaks down mentally after losing the cub she had pinned all her hopes on to avenge Scar and defeat Simba. Instead of seeking another male heir, she turns to her daughter Vitani, training her harshly to become the future queen and to lead the invasion of the Pride Lands. The neglected brother. A new character emerges in this version. The older brother who had always been jealous that Scar and Zira chose Kovu over him. After Kovu's death, he believes his moment has come to claim the title of heir, only to be devastated when Zira picks Vitani instead. Consumed by bitterness, he secretly plots to kill Simba himself to prove his worth. Vitani and Kiara. From rivals to friends, Vitani unexpectedly meets Princess Kiara in the Outlands. Though their first encounter is hostile, a terrifying experience with crocodiles forces them to rely on each other, sparking a genuine friendship. Their bond grows stronger, turning rivalry into a sister-like relationship. Vitani the spy, then the savior. Zira sends Vitani to infiltrate the Pride Lands as a spy, pretending to have defected from her mother. But Vitani shocks everyone when she saves Kiara from crocodiles during her first hunting lesson. This act earns her some trust from Simba, who allows her to stay, though he keeps a close eye on her. Vitani's internal conflict. Though she pretends to be loyal to Zira's plan, Vitani begins to waver. Her strong bond with Kiara and the trust she's gained in the Pride Lands leave her torn. Should she follow in her mother's footsteps, or choose peace? The tension rises when Zira tells her it's time to strike against Simba. The final battle. War breaks out between the Pride Lands and Zira's followers. During the battle, Na refuses help and falls to his death from a cliff, consumed by hatred. As Zira attempts to kill Simba, Vitani and Kiara intervene to stop the fight. Kiara's wise words cause most of the fighters to lay down their arms, except Zira and nah. Zira's end, when everyone refuses to keep fighting, Zira makes one final attempt to kill Simba. Vitani stops her, and the others turn against Zira. She's banished from the Pride Lands. As she flees, she breaks a pact she made with the crocodiles, who attack her, sealing her dark fate. The Pride Lands change forever. With the battle over, Simba agrees to let Vitani and her followers join the Pride Lands, restoring balance. But even as peace is achieved, Kiara is left with a lingering emptiness from Kovu's absence, the lion who was meant to be her mate. And so the question remains, can Kiara ever find another partner? And will Simba's bloodline continue? In the end, Kovu's death could have created a completely different reality in the Lion King universe, one with more hatred, more pain, and greater conflict. But at the same time, it could have paved the way for new heroes to rise, and characters to take the story in directions we never expected. So now we leave the question to you. If Kovu had died, who do you think deserved to lead? And would Kiara have been able to rise from the shock and become queen? Or would the lands have descended into long-term chaos? Let us know your thoughts in the comments.